the basic things don't change. Like this stays. The economic collapse doesn't change this yet. But the difference is, before the collapse, we were in a sort of a utopia. We were in a weird world anyway, because the Icelandic banks, they were receiving enormous amounts from banks abroad, the big banks. So there was a lot of money coming in to Iceland, and like everywhere else, the housing boom just went and exploded. Yeah. And I would say that the main difference is that well, the main difference hasn't yet been, it hasn't happened yet, because everything is on ice at the moment. So the government is not really facing the problem. Probably 45-50% of the homes are technically bankrupt, but nobody's doing anything about it. And there's no rescue plan, there's no vision, there's no nothing. So what has happened is sort of like a big shush, sort of. And of course people don't have any access to money now. And before they had too much access to money and they wasted it. And I would say the public had the least thing to do with it. It was a handful of criminals, politicians and bankers that did the whole case themselves. And now the big change now is in the people's mentality, which is very nice. People are going back to the roots, they're going back to this, they're going back to what really matters. So it's less about Range Rovers and the big jeeps or expensive houses, or it's more about nature, which is good. I think we sort of lost touch with the real thing for a while, and luckily now people are getting more and more concerned about how rich we are in a way to have what we have, the nature and the culture and the resources. So that's why, as you know, we voted no in the referendum 2 days ago. And I'm very proud to be an Icelander at the moment, because we said no. And this actually, we did with, even though, despite the fact that the government, they manipulate the newspapers easily, and most of them. And the message from the government was to the Icelandic public: if you say no, you'll be the Cuba of the North, which was a direct wording as well. Yeah. So it was scare tactics, and they said if Icelanders say no, then you will have unemployment doubling, and you will have poverty rising, and you will have no income and no jobs and no loans. But luckily people are realizing we don't need loans. We just need to do the right thing. That's what the whole world needs to do, actually, do the right thing. Yeah. Don't do what you're sort of feeded from bankers. Just do the right thing. Like, I've got my backup with the Midnight Sun there coming up. Yeah. So. It was the plain argument for saying yes from the government was, if you say yes, then we're going to get a lot of money from the IMF to help us fixing the current problem. The current problem is that Iceland is technically bankrupt. Nobody's just really facing the fact that we owe so much money, because we're just 330,000 people, and the financial sector was 12 times bigger at the end than the Icelandic state itself, the GDP of Iceland. So when that went bankrupt, I think we have out of top 10 biggest bankruptcies in the history of banks, we have 2, I think I'm correct there, and we have 330,000 people. So we already been hit really, really hard. So it's not a question about that. But it was it's sort of for me the situation is we're bankrupt. So what do you do with somebody who's bankrupt? You want to give them a lot of money, That's just not what you do. So the argument, and I did discuss this with a very good friend of mine. He's a bit older. He's more into the factories and building and sort of, build something. It's about building. Yeah. And I explained to him that, and I didn't explain, we were talking, it was a discussion, it was a dialogue. And I felt at the end that he agreed with me that the only way is not to build more. We just have one planet Earth, and we don't need to build everywhere. That's not the thing. And by not having more loans, and I don't see why anybody would give us money, because we can't pay back unless they want this, which I don't want to give. So that's the only reasoning for giving money to Iceland, is to get the water, the fish, the renewable energy, the resources that we have, and the fresh water, and the nature, of course. But the way I see it, it hopefully was the best thing ever happened to Iceland, because when we said no, it means we have to think differently. We have to think about other ways than sitting like pigs and being fed with more money until we get so fat that we can't stand up, and then people come and put us on the barbecue. That's the way I see it happening. So the idea is that all those poor people that want to build and they can't build because nobody has money to build, they'll have to think out of the box. They'll have to think else. For example, the government could help vegetable farmers by selling cheaper energy to the vegetable farmers, which are going bankrupt, by the way, at the moment, because they have to pay so much money for the electricity, which is ridiculous. So if the vegetable farming would grow, then people will have jobs farming vegetables. And we can export that, which is income for the state. That's one thing. And there's so many things. If you take just easily accessible, like in tourism, for example, if you take some niche markets like sea angling, 900,000 people go every year to Norway to go sea angling. I think we have, 372 or something altogether. Yep. People coming here for those purposes is really small. And we have 500,000 tourists. This is double what we have, only in sea angling. This could be easily done by just focusing on marketing in sea angling, for example, brochures and magazines. And that's just one little example. But the main thing is now that the Icelandic nation the government needs to listen to the Icelandic nation, first of all. Maybe they will now, hopefully. They haven't been listening to us until, they're still not listening, are they? We just we used force on them, like they usually do on people in all the countries in the world. Well, luckily we had the power, we had the president that gave us the power to choose. But I think it's about time that people think about, what they really, as a nation, what do we stand for? And who do we want to be? It applies to business, it applies to personal life. If you don't have a vision, if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't have short-term goals, if you can't measure where you are, you will fail. And that's the thing for Iceland, I think. It's the government has been running around like just headless chicken, and if somebody wants to give money to the government, they'll say, hooray, 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 let's do that. What do you want to build? Aluminium factory, yay, let's do that. So the solution is always in heavy industries which are polluting this beautiful country that we have. That's one thing. They're polluting the image as well, and they're not creating any jobs, because we take in big companies, multinationals, a bunch of criminals, if you ask me, and they use illegal and cheap labor from China in Iceland now. Surprise, surprise. It's almost the same. It's the short-term greedy solutions, regardless of consequences. And this is exactly what has been taking down the capitalistic system in the world, if you ask me. I think it's the same all over the world, and I've been talking to people all over the world, and we seem to have the same problem. Yeah. The problem is that the government is just not listening to what's happening, and the only thing which is happening is like this little game of politicians which are only thinking short term. They want to keep their job, and just the day before the elections, they want to show off with something, and they don't care about the consequences. They just care about presenting some numbers on a piece of paper, and that's the sad sort of truth about society as a whole today, if you ask me. So maybe we were the first. I mean, I guess we were hit the hardest because we're so few, and the banking industry was so much bigger in Iceland. So hopefully this will be the best thing ever happened to Iceland, to get hit really hard in the face.
Yeah.
It might sort of shake up things in your head when you get that sort of a punch. So you really have to stand up and forget about everything and start all over again and look in the mirror and figure out, who am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Sort of, I hope we don't get that lost, but you know, somewhere there. That's.
And you think that a first step is this revising of the constitution?
Yeah.
This will be useful to limit the framework of action of this.
Hopefully, but then again, if the politicians, the true politicians of the government, doesn't stop the people from doing that, this is actually happening. As you know now, we are revising the constitution, and there was a lot of hope that this could be done, and it was stopped by the courts in Iceland to begin with. There was a lot of problems in the process, but now they're sort of made a new sort of committee with the same people, so hopefully that will have some influence. But I fear that, I hope so, I truly hope so, but I just fear that with the current system, with the current politicians, nothing can be done. Like, for example, the first reaction of the government, this is the new government, we threw the old and ugly, disgusting, extreme capitalistic government away. So we threw the corrupt and the corrupt sort of filthy one, and we got the stupid, not doing anything, not listening to the people one, which is the extreme left wing sort of. So I really don't know what to do. We have to like go in different dimensions then, I guess. Yeah. But the first reaction from the government, when the president second time said, I will not let this contract go through without allowing the people to vote. First time he did it, the government was furious, and I think it was like 95% said no at that time, because it was kind of obvious. So the government went secretly, came with a better contract, and it was quite nice. I saw a good sort of example of a woman that writes some articles. She said, it's sort of like, I'm told I'll have to have sex and marry Hitler because, Gaddafi, because Hitler, he's worse. So you have the option of Hitler and Gaddafi. So it's like, you wouldn't marry Hitler, that would be, that's too much. Yeah. But, Gaddafi is not as bad, so you should do Gaddafi. I'm doing good, that's, this is the sort of, because the first contract was crap, it was shit. And then they came with another one, whoops, a little bit better. And hey, let's just like secretly squeeze it through the system. And when the president said second time, no, let's have the people vote on it, the reaction of the government was, they said it with their own clear words, well, we really need to take time now and change this clause in the constitution where we can stop the president from doing this damage. Which again, coming to Gaddafi just shoots the people, but the government here will just like change the law so the people will shut their mouth. That's the sad reality we're living in. So, but maybe it will be the best thing ever, and it has meant that people don't travel to other countries from Iceland anymore. They can't afford to do that. Yeah. It's too expensive. So people are now like they're growing their own vegetables. They're making their own herbs and teas, and they're traveling the country. They use the weekends and just any nice day they go and celebrate by putting their tent down in the beautiful nature. So I mean, all this is happening whether or not Icelandic people like it or not. Yeah. So we've been pushed. Luckily, we've been pushed in the right direction. So, if things will turn out the way I hope, then we'll have, we're gonna share this beautiful culture and nature that we have, and hopefully use it in the right way for the first time in history.
Yeah.
That anybody has done anything right. That would be good.
Icelandic collapse and how Europe, United Kingdom and Holland are reacting. We can see also how Europe works. So
Yeah.
this mess of puzzle of international organization, AMF, International Bank, whatever,
Yeah, it's
is Iceland. Iceland will be in the European Union, but not in this, maybe in other European Union.
well, the Icelandic government still claims that they are not committing to anything. But recently we found out and it was out in the open that the government already has gone to a stage where the EU is funding the government to show the case of the EU. So they have money now to advertise how great the EU system is. So they are trying to go there. And I personally met someone who's high up in the EU this summer, and we spent a long conversation, 2-hour conversation, because he was shocked because he told me that it was on the plan that Iceland would go with Ukraine, I think it is, in 2012 or 14. So it was just on the plan. So nobody there thought that Icelanders might not want to join. And it's again, the government is sneaking behind our backs, and they're doing that. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But you know, but they have the best weapon in history of mankind. The government has now, which is money.
Yeah.
You know, they will have the money to back up their cause, and they have the media. So I don't know how that's going to end, but according to the last election, then people are still not being brainwashed enough to say yes to everything without criticizing in a constructive way and figuring out from themselves what's right. And luckily for us, the politicians have been wrong about most things. So what they say usually is the opposite of the truth.
¿Quieres unos cascos?
Sí, sí.
¿Quieres los míos?
No, pues voy bien, ¿eh?
¿Sí? ¿Lo puedes ver visualmente? Que el sonido funciona. Okay, so we continue. I want to repeat this
Okay.
revolution and the egg.
Yeah.
Breaking ¿Todo bien, Bert?
Todo bien.
Muy bien.
Oh, there's methane car.
What is this?
Methane car, hybrid car.
Huh?
Hybrid car that runs on junk,
Okay.
garbage. So like, yeah, we have now a few methane cars, which are cars that don't use gas or oil.
Yeah.
They use garbage.
Nice.
Yeah, so that would be that's probably the best
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, I was saying this kind of these people in the top, that it's inside of the business, inside of the what's going on. It's like there are some of them that really want this change.
Yeah.
It's possible that it's starting a revolution. Like at this point, it's starting to break an egg.
Yeah.
Will be there.
It is possible, and there's definitely a will to do it. And like you said, there's luckily some people that want to do it. And the question is just how strong is the system? Because like we voted the mayor is the stand-up comedian, a really good stand-up comedian. And he sort of, I voted him, and 45% of the voters voted him, and he gave us hope. So at least he gave us hope, but then he didn't give us a lot more. And I guess it's not because he's a bad man at all. He was like us. He wanted to change, but he hasn't changed anything. So if he can't do it, then the question is, I'm just saying, maybe the way to change the system is not to bring in new people in the same rotten system. So I guess we need to break down the system somehow. And hopefully we have a lot of people, like you said, that want to change. And there's something happening also on the top in the parliament. You can see there's like two groups of like people that are separating, regardless of where they stand, in which political party. And you can see that's the ones that want to change, but they're not allowed to change because of the system. So hopefully this will be the break, the starting point of something. I mean, we could, if we wanted, we could be the leading example of how to live life, because we are only 330,000 people. Yeah. It's so easy to change. And we have fish. We're not going to starve. We have the fish. We have the water. We're not going to die because of shortage of water like many others do. And so I mean, we should be able to, and we have the renewable resources, which could be a great help to the whole population on the planet. So we have everything. We have all the tools to do it. Yeah. It's just a matter of if the kitchen is functioning or not. Do we need to throw the kitchen out and just find another place and start all over again, where everybody is like, I don't know, we have to change it. Yeah. One cuts the peppers only, or is it many small kitchen where everybody cooks his own, or what? I don't know. It just seems as this sort of the way to run it has not been successful. But like you said, and like you've probably seen in Iceland, there's a lot of people that really want to change. As long as there's a will, there's a way, so hopefully. Yeah. Until we prove it not to be.
Do you think that should we start with the education? It's like, I cannot see my university, my country for instance, like they teach us to think, to solve the things. They just teach us to work, to be inside the system as a machine. Should we start with the education, also to love the nature and to respect the environment?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that the nature love is going to come from all angles. I'm taking my little daughter out every chance that I get. I take her out and show her something magical. Show her a geyser or take her here. I mean, sit and talk and laugh, and we just sit here with the sunshine in the back, the midnight sun, and it's usually warmer than this though. And so I do that. Most of my friends do, and family. I mean, so children will get educated by the parents. The parents there's a paradigm shift in the parents' head. They're more realizing what we have around us. I guess teachers also, they have children, and they will do the same. They will go more in the nature, and I think it will sort of happen automatically with the nature. And by the method of teaching, I don't know if that's gonna, or how that can change, but hopefully it will. But with the current plan of the government, it's not gonna do that, because the current plan is to cut down costs in education and healthcare, which is always the least smart thing to do, and it's usually the first thing that countries do when they hit crisis. So if that's going to happen, obviously education will not get better. But then again, hopefully it doesn't. So I think there is a really good chance, and I think we have no choice. Either we have to change everything, or we're just going to be in like 1,000 times worse situation than we are today, which is unacceptable. So.
Let's see if this changes.
Yeah.
Because education is like a key point.
It is, yeah.
A key point to make the people think and to see how change the things.
Yeah. But it takes time, and all those changes take time. So.
So you study in Esabe,
Yeah.
your
yeah.
master,
Yeah.
and
The
how
end-
did you see this this teaching?
In the masters,
Yeah.
it was good and it was bad. Some teachers were really good, some teachers were really bad. Maybe me and the other international students